Hey Dragonfly Swarm, so Thomas the Train is here. Thoma is an upcoming 4-star Pyro polearm user who just might be changing the game for a couple of reasons. You see, in the 2.2 special program livestream, we finally got to see Thoma's kit and were shown his abilities, and he looks strikingly like a Pyro version of one of the most coveted characters in the game, Xingqiu. I'm making this comparison for a few reasons, the first of which being that Thoma has a lot of Pyro application. His elemental skill deals AoE Pyro damage and applies a Pyro shield to the active character, which presumably applies Pyro to enemies based on how the ability works. And then his elemental burst makes it so that anytime your active character attacks an enemy, a cone of fire shoots out in an AoE and refreshes your blazing barrier shield. Elemental application is extremely valuable in Genshin because of the mechanics of elemental reactions, and any main DPS that can take advantage of elemental application as good as Xingqiu's or now Thoma's is a main DPS that's about to do ungodly amounts of consistent damage. My second comparison to Xingqiu, however, is the fact that Thoma not only has near constant Pyro application, but he also has a lot of utility that supports his team. I'd almost say even more than Xingqiu if it turns out Thoma's numbers are good. This is because Xingqiu's utility comes in the form of percent-based damage resistance to active characters and also a little bit of healing, but he's not a healer. Don't do that. Unless you want to, of course. But Thoma's utility comes in the form of shields, and based on what we learned in the livestream, his kit has a couple of ways of making his shields not only almost constantly active, but also extremely tanky, like damage absorby. You know what I mean? They don't break easily. This is because apparently while his burst is active, your active character can stack blazing barriers by attacking enemies, and with one of his passives, every time you refresh the barrier, the shield strength increases, which makes him two things at the very least so far: an amazing shielder unlike most shielders we've seen so far, and a god tier pyro applicator, just like how Xingqiu is a god tier hydro applicator. This makes Thoma a potential must-have for players who main Ayaka, Childe, or Tao, and then a great pyro battery slash shielder for other flexible team comps. With Ayaka and Childe, it's for the same reason Xingqiu is so good with pyro DPS units. The reaction synergies multiplies the pyro unit's overall damage output by a lot, making Xingqiu a great pair for just about any of them. And in Thoma's case, he'll likely pair with similar strength when played alongside hydro slash cryo DPS units that constantly trigger melt and vaporize with Thoma. And yeah, we don't have a whole lot of dedicated hydro slash cryo DPS right now, but technically there was a time when we didn't have a whole lot of pyro DPS units either. And well, look how that changed. Plus, with Pyro application, Thoma is able to work with both Vaporize and Melt, the two strongest reactions in the game, so he'll be able to fit onto a lot of teams as an applicator or a shielder. And as for why I mentioned Tao as one of his best pairs, Tao really has a hard time working with Pyro units because of how weird her kit is. She doesn't work well with healers at all, and when you don't count Bennett, almost every other Pyro unit we have has a DPS playstyle, so they don't provide much utility or energy very effectively at all. But Thoma is a utility Pyro unit who doesn't mess with her playstyle by healing her, and on top of that, he provides shields, which is exactly what Tao needs as someone who lives her life on life support. So because of his unique Pyro utility kit, Thoma's technically filling a brand new role in Genshin that is yet to be filled, allowing him to synergize really well with some of the strongest units in the game, as well as flex onto many other teams as a flexible support unit. And because of all this, I genuinely feel like Thoma will become regarded as one of the god tier 4-star supports like Bennett and Xingqiu, because he's filling his own unique role that will actually work really well with a large number of the Genshin character roster. I could be wrong, but I don't know. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video and want more content like it, feel free to subscribe or follow my Twitch stream or join my Discord server. All of those links are down below. Now I'm gonna go prepare to bring Tao home and Thoma and Childe because I'm completely incapable of making mature financial decisions. Goodbye!